Great. Yes, Vibha, we are live now. All right. I hope everyone is tuned in to my page. And welcome to Heart with Ethel Da Costa. I have a fantastic guest today who's also a very close friend of mine. The entire Heart to Heart with Ethel Da Costa platform is how I call it an FB Live Leadership Soul series with empowered individuals from across the globe who live their truth in their personal and professional spaces through actions, deeds, and example. So, what I'm trying to create is a global vibe tribe of authenticity, integrity, self love, and self power. So, hi, Vibha. Great to see
Hi,
you.
Ethel.
Great to see you.
Wonderful,
After
wonderful to do this with you. Super excited.
I know after such a long time, that we've kind of met across two different countries. You're in India, correct? Uh,
That's
and
right.
uh, and I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So to all our, to your friends and to my friends and our fans across who are now tuning in, I can see them popping, in the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Dr. Vibha Bakshi, a national award winning film director and producer awarded by the President of India. She is a recipient of 4 National Film Awards, the highest recognition in Indian cinema to an individual. Vibha's films as co director and producer with Oscar winning filmmaker Maryann DeLeo have been aired on US networks. She has been conferred the Honorary Doctorate, Doctor of Humane Letters from her alma mater, the Boston University, USA, for her work as a filmmaker. Her path breaking documentaries on women's rights, like Daughters of Mother India, Sunrise, have won international accolades, making Dr. Vibha a torchbearer of women's empowerment at UN Women. And of course, she's a hero in India. And she's here today after a very, very long time that we've managed to kind of catch up with each other. And I just reached out to her and said, Vibha, come on, I'm doing this entire chat show. I think it's a great platform for to kind of get individuals like yourself to be part of these forums and talk to each other, to inspire the people, and share. Basically, kind of share what makes us tick, right? So, welcome, Vibha, and great to
Thank
have
you
you
so
on.
much, Ethel. Just the work you do and the paths you've created are amazing. So it's always a pleasure to do this with you. Our journeys have been very exciting when we're on the ground in India. So now
I,
we're back on Zoom.
yes, that's right. Because I think this opens up the entire globe to us now. It is how we call it. So I look at COVID-19 as a huge blessing in disguise. I think it kind of let us kind of rewire ourselves. It kind of brought us down to ground zero, reevaluate our lives, right, and what we do and what we've done, and then say how can we make it even more, how can we do more, create more. And all these digital platforms like Zoom and Google and StreamYard have just kind of allowed us to connect with everybody globally now. So
No,
hooray
I
to
think
that.
until the time has come that we redefine what normal means,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think it is a great opportunity to really strive now towards a far more equitable, inclusive, and diverse world. And let's use this opportunity to redefine that.
Correct. Yeah, I completely agree with you. So
Yeah.
great. So I think it kind of just takes us straight to your groundbreaking work. As a national award winning documentary film producer with Daughters of Mother India. As the jury described, very in a very determined, explicit manner, that you put the spotlight on the burning issue of gender violence in the country. We all know that, how things and reports went international, with what happened in India and stuff like that. How did this film come about, and what did you experience while creating this quite as I call it when I watched it? I mean, it shook me right through my soul. the kind
Yeah.
of depth, the kind of, montages you put together, and the kind of in-depth coverage that you created, Vibha. I want to know, what is this entire experience that went into creating this film for yourself?
So, Ethel, I would say that Daughters of Mother India is a cry of my conscience. Um, you know, uh, we had just returned to India after spending 11 years in the US, when
Right,
the horrific rape and murder of the 23-year-old medical intern happened in Delhi. And while India was making notorious headlines all over the world, I was watching, like the rest of the country, a revolution unfolding. And
right.
I have to admit, Ethel, I stood there as a very proud daughter of India, because I truly believe there is no other country in the world that reacted to a gender crime the way India did. But
Yes.
at the same time, I was left with so many questions as to how did we get here. And I
Mm,
think that's how Daughters of Mother India came about. And I knew at that time that the police would play a very important role in the documentary. But at that point, the police was absolutely out of access. The country was burning. And so
yes.
to be able to, go in with cameras inside the police was
Yeah.
almost impossible. But as they say, when your intent and emotion is right, the universe comes together. And so I did get my meeting with the Commissioner of Police in Delhi. And I had this entire script ready as to why he should give me access. And Ethel, he looked at my husband and me for maybe 5 minutes in silence.
Right. Right.
And
Wow.
I told him, I said, "Sir, I'm a stakeholder in this society. I do not want this momentum to stop." And he
Right.
looked at me and he said, "I'm a father of two daughters." And
Mm,
we were the only film team to gain access to the Delhi police in the history of the Indian police.
yes, I completely agree. I think all of us have been on the other side of, of
Yeah.
journalism too. So I used to be a crime reporter in my early journalism days, and we kind of understand the back end of it too. When reports would come in, or when complaints would come in, and you kind of understand how it's also handled, that way. So when I saw the film, Daughters of Mother India, and I saw the kind of montages that you shot, and the kind of you were capturing it all there live,
Yes,
which kind of completely shook me as well, And I said, "Wow, hats off to Vibha, for she's just there, getting it all happening and getting it raw. So even the emotions, that you see,
absolutely.
how they handle, emergency calls and stuff like that is like completely
And
raw."
Ethel, I have to say that the only time the police commissioner got to watch the film is when we premiered in Delhi, and he was
Okay.
part of the audience of 800 people. So
Wow.
there was no footage, there was no edits that were shown to the
Hmm.
Delhi police. And I remember having this conversation with him. And I said, "Sir, I do not give a guarantee on how this film will look,
Right.
but there is always that risk of you losing your top job." And he said, "In life, I have reached a point when you take that chance to do the right thing."
Yes.
And actually, when the film premiered, he was the first man to get up to give the standing ovation. And, Ethel, years later, we have now screened Daughters of Mother India for over 150,000 police officers across the country to gender sensitize the force. And I think that's bigger than any accolades or awards. But when you see that happening on the ground, when police commissioners were calling us up to have the
Mhm.
film screened, I think that was our moment of triumph.
Yes. I think that was quite pathbreaking to have major police stations actually, airing the film out to their police officers, correct? And I thought that
Yeah.
was amazing, completely amazing. which is wow. So you've kind of been there, done that. What do you think, Vibha? Because you're so deeply into the entire, the entire passion, as I call it. I think it's a passion project for you. So you see it completely upfront, and very raw, unlike us, where things could get filtered. What do you think is the root cause of women disempowerment?
There are so many, but what I carry from my experience, again, I'm a storyteller. There's amazing work being done by the activists, by academia, who are far more learned and entrenched into the system. But as a storyteller, Ethel,
Yes.
I would say, the word that comes in is patriarchy.
Mm,
The strong sense of entitlement and privileges that boys and men carry due to patriarchy. The time has come that we knock it down globally. This is not just an India issue.
correct.
This doesn't just happen in villages.
Yes.
This happens all over the world. It is a global reality. And it is very, very important that if we have to win the fight to stop gender violence, to make it a more equitable world, it's very
Mhm.
important that men become an integral part of this struggle. Then
Yes.
only will we win. So it's really about men and women standing in solidarity to create a bold and united force for equality. I mean, that's when we will say that we did it, and we did it together. It's not one versus the other.
Right, exactly, Vibha. And I think we are in the 21st century. I don't see why gender, which is a very, we all hope and we all wish that,
Yeah.
women and men have grown, correct? We have grown politically, we've grown economically, we almost have, correct? The same kind of ambitions. And yet we know for a fact, and the truth, is that it's not.
Yeah.
We all wish that it would be that way, but in
Yeah.
reality, not so. Which brings me to your other path-breaking film that I was also part of when we were launching it in India at the International Film Festival of India. And I saw that men were stood up and gave you a standing ovation. That made me feel so happy and so proud. I had tears streaming down my face,
I know.
because
I
yeah,
remember
I
that
remember that.
moment, Ethel,
Yeah,
when we saw the theater swell with
yeah,
numbers, and
yes,
I remember that the men, when the film ended and the men came up and they had tears in their eyes. I
yes,
remember we looked at each other and we said,
yeah.
this is
This
magic.
this is magic, yeah, because all the men
Working.
stood up and were
Absolutely,
clapping.
absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, which also won the film Sunrise, also won the best film in the non-feature section at the National Film Awards, right? So the documentary for my readers, and people who are on Facebook, the documentary showcases ordinary men in a very putting up a very extraordinary fight to change the narrative on gender inequality. So Vibha went live into this village in India, and I think spent what a long period of time,
Two
watching it
years.
all. 2 years. Wow, 2 years watching, speaking to all the the leaders, right, of the village, sections,
So
and
actually, so Ethel,
interviewing.
it's actually we went into the hinterlands of India's seat of patriarchy. So
Right.
if I look back, would I have been brave enough to do this?
I was going to ask you that.
Maybe not, maybe not. But now that it's done, but for a
Yeah.
woman to be entering into a
Yes.
region where you are questioning the patriarchs,
Yes.
was, I think, one of the most difficult things that I have done.
And very daring. Let me also add that, and very, very daring, because I watched the movie and I saw what was happening there. So yes, so the documentary was unveiled by the UN Secretary General, and was showcased as part of UN's global He for She movement. So, Vibha, do you see your film as a case in study, or do you see it as a change in the making?
That's uh, that's a very interesting question, Ethel. I think I would say more it's a change in the making because
Mhm.
I remember when the team and I entered into Haryana.
Yes,
We met. The why I entered Haryana was because I was searching for that farmer who, in an arranged marriage, married a gang rape survivor.
yes, yeah.
Now, I mean, I could say that I was so happily stunned, when I got the news that something like this had happened in that region. So I really went in search of that farmer. And when I met him, people around him was, when we were searching for him, the villagers were making fun of him. But when
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him and when I found out his story, that's when Sunrise was born. And
Right.
over the 2 years, what we saw unfold on the ground has to be changed in the making. I remember we met the chief, the chief patriarch of the village. I think he has about 1,200 villages under him. And
Mm-hmm.
when he looked at me, the first thing he said was, "There is no place for women here."
Yes, I
And
remember that statement.
yes, and it's in the film.
Yeah,
Two
it's,
years later, the film is released, and today that the chief patriarch is the biggest flag bearer for Sunrise. And
hmm,
when we look at that, we truly believe change is possible. Change through dialogue is possible because the 2 years that we spent with him, conversations changed, the lens changed, things changed, and today he is screening Sunrise across all the villages, and that to us is very, very powerful.
correct. Yeah. So would you want to kind of tell, to all our viewers here, what Sunrise really is all about?
So we went, as we said, we went into Haryana, India's seat of patriarchy. And I think from this unlikeliest corners, we found our heroes.
Right.
We found these ordinary men who are changing the narrative on inequality, not only in India, but
Hmm.
globally. And when you see these people, almost doing the impossible, you feel there is hope.
Yes.
And I don't think that these men realize that they would have to combat other men at every step of the way.
Right. Yes.
Here
Yeah.
we have the farmer who has sold his land fighting for his wife's justice. We have a village chief who wants a better place for his daughters. He wants women to enter politics, and he has 283 cases filed against him in the village. So,
Yes.
there are no fairy tale endings, but as we say, these men have stood up to the good fight.
Correct. Yeah. But in hindsight, do you think that I understand it's a movie and it's done fabulously well. What is the current scenario right now? If you know any kind of feedback that has happened, are these men still carrying the flag for women and empowering them, or
I
what
think
really?
they will do forever. I think it's in their DNA. they, they took on such a tough fight, and
Yes.
and we truly believe this is not going to be an easy fight because they are really, knocking down patriarchy, and it's not never going to be easy. The farmer is still fighting for justice.
Hmm.
Um, he
Oh, okay.
lost in the lower court. He lost in the lower court because there is no evidence. All the evidence has been destroyed.
Hmm.
But, you know, every time I speak to him, he tells me, "I will fight and I will fight till the end." I mean,
Yes.
he is truly, he he defines the true essence of masculinity.
Yes, correct.
He is
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is the sunrise, and for our audience, sunrise is spelled as SONRISE. They are the torch bearers, and they have become, the role models for other men to follow. So everybody is continuing to do what they do, and they amaze me every single day.
right. I remember when I was watching the film, I was, I think I was shocked first that, some part in India, so far away from all our urban scapes and urban lives, right? That there were these men so bravely fighting,
Yeah,
that we would think is a lost fight, or a lost cause. And to see
absolutely.
men doing that for the women in their lives was so inspiring for me. I was like actually sitting down in my seat, Vibha, and shaking, because we all wish, that the men that we know, have the courage to stand up, right, for women, not just women,
Absolutely. And even
not just women.
with all humility, I say that, there's not been a single screening where the audience has not stood up.
Yes,
And the full credit goes not just for a fine documentary, but actually how inspiring these real life heroes have
yes,
been for everyone. I mean, I say this again and again, that Sunrise is a result of the courage that these people have shown to break the silence. Full credit goes to them.
yes, I completely agree, and it's I think great salutes to you also, Vibha. So as a filmmaker who takes up important social causes and issues, do you think that the media and the film industry is truly empowering society and lawmakers towards empowerment? And I want a very seen there, been there, correct? Look into what you have to say about that.
I would say, Ethel, what I have seen is, I think film, the media, is one of the most powerful mediums to bring about change.
Correct.
I mean, I think no amount of lectures or conversations can do it. But when you watch a film, um, it is, you have to have your own moment of realization. There is the village chief in the film says,
Hmm.
um, I realized I changed. When other men realize, they will change too. I mean, this constantly rings in my mind, that each one of us has to come to that own moment of realization, and films
Correct.
do it. Now, as a documentary filmmaker, uh, the team and I have taken a very, very conscious decision to sensitize the audience.
Hmm.
Ethel, you are in media, you are
Yes.
the one who creates the headlines, and we all know the easiest way to create a headline is to sensationalize the issue.
Yes. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
we
Completely agree. Completely agree.
it's the easiest way to get out there. But we as a team have taken a very, very conscious and committed decision that whatever it takes, but our end goal is to sensitize the audience. And
Correct.
I think it's very hard to do that. It's much easier to sensationalize the issue. And I
And
say this,
I'm also
Ethel,
going to
I say
add.
this
Yeah.
again
I'm
and
also going
again.
to add there. Yeah. Correct. I'm also going to add there that having watched both the films, correct, I've seen the extreme sensitivity in the manner that you've handled the subjects, and really, and that is great journalism, Vibha. I think very few journalists that I know in mainstream media in India as well, who have that kind of inner compassion that they bring to a subject, which is so important today, right? Because as you said, it's so easy to hit headlines with very sensational headlines, but
Absolutely.
you were extremely sensitive. Yeah, please continue. Please continue.
No, and it's. I mean, even with Daughters of Mother India, I could have focused either on a burning country,
Yes.
or I could have decided that through the film we are able to ignite hope.
Yes.
Do I just focus on a broken country or attempt to heal a nation?
Right.
And and I'm blessed that I have a team that shares the same vision, that we will always strive to leave the viewers with hope, because
Mm.
without hope no fight can be won.
Yes.
And these are fights that we cannot afford to lose. And so this has been the mantra. And we are very humbled, overwhelmed, and most grateful with the response that we've been getting, because it gives us the strength to continue what we do.
Do you see that same sentiment, Vibha, echoed by other media? And I'm talking in terms of mainstream media as well as film, to create that kind of a dialogue.
I think it's the path that we've chosen is more difficult. So I don't think everyone really wants to jump that bandwagon. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I do believe that the narratives are changing. um, Ethel, you've seen it with
Yeah,
all the work that you've done on the ground. Earlier, to get people to come to watch a documentary was one of the hardest things to do. And
absolutely.
we can proudly say that when Daughters of Mother India premiered in Mumbai at the Royal Opera,
Yes,
it was a Tuesday night, which is one of the worst nights to open a film.
right.
And the capacity of Royal Opera is 700, and I think we had over 850 people.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
It was a packed house, and
it
people
was
were
a
sitting on
packed house,
packed house.
and I was so proud to stand on the stage and say,
Yeah,
100 people, please get up and
right.
leave. Anyone
Yes.
who knows me for more than 20 years, please get up and leave the theater so we can accommodate the crowds.
You specified friends of Vibha Bakshi can leave because you can always put it later.
It was actually, I can really say, I really stood on stage so proudly to tell my
Yes,
friends and family to leave the theater, because as a documentary filmmaker, it is the biggest moment to
yes,
see the crowds come in. And that's what makes me cling on to that hope that, change is coming. People
right.
want to be part of the change, and that's what keeps all of us going.
Do you see the a similar sentiment in global media as well? Because we all know what's all happening around the world in terms of
Yeah,
women's rights and women's equality, and I mean a whole lot of issues around women, as a gender, correct? Do you
yes.
see the same sentiment, Vibha, also being echoed, with our other colleagues across the world in media and film?
Absolutely. I think the issues have now become they're not just burning issues, they're urgent issues.
Hmm.
And I think the world is getting more sensitive to it. Ethel, we are not only battling the biggest health crisis, we're
Yeah,
battling one of the biggest humanitarian crises.
I agree.
um,
I
and
agree.
if not now, when?
Yes,
This is the time that each one of us, I believe in it so strongly, that each one of us is unstoppable, you
mm-hmm.
know, to change what can be. So
Yes.
we've got to do that, and collectively, we will be able to do it. But it requires courage, conviction, and commitment
Yeah,
to
yeah.
showcase what
Unwavering commitment.
can.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
because
absolutely. And
these
I
are not
think if
switch
we
on and switch
don't,
off. It's not a switch on
absolutely, and
and
I
switch off.
think if we don't do it now, then really when?
Yeah,
So I
because
would say that we
yeah.
have to do it now.
Right. Because Vibha, in my own media career, I've seen, it's so easy to be seen as doing the right thing, correct? So
Yeah,
you mouth things, but you don't practice, right? And I'm sure
yeah,
you've seen that. I've seen a lot of that, in my media career too. Very rarely would journalists or media, personalities really pick up an issue from start to its finish, where you're actually following up stories, you're kind of, making sure that it doesn't become just a headline in a news cycle, correct?
Yes.
It
Yes.
becomes part of a movement where you wake up a community, you become a truth sayer. Sometimes
Yes.
even in pressure in organizations that you work with, right? Because if
Yes.
you don't stand up for it, then what are you doing? In the space of it, right? So I'm sure,
And
yeah,
so
you've seen
glad
that
that
too.
you brought this up because each one of us is very, very powerful in our own positions. But then, what are you doing to unleash that change?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about media, as you're already aware, we are being backed by Weber Shandwick, the PR company, pro
Yes.
bono.
Yes.
It's again as a company, I mean, they didn't know, Valerie Pinto did not know me at all from before. The
Right.
awards hadn't come in, but there was a committed decision, to support the issue.
Yes.
And, the partnership continues. And I think we all need to step out of our safe zones and get up and do the right thing. And that's why I say you do need that, like you said, that unwavering commitment to do it. Ethel, you've done it for us. You worked for
Thanks to
us
Valerie.
pro bono,
Thanks to
uh,
Valerie. So Valerie
issue.
introduced me to you. Valerie introduced me to you, and the rest is history. And we've had such a great, inspiring journey with Daughters of Mother India. I mean, the press in India were like full of questions, right, at the press
Yeah,
conferences, and we saw the same thing with Sunrise too. And then I also kind of understood even more deeper, because we are not, we are not so lucky to travel the way you travel into such deep interiors, to get your footage and to get your
yeah,
heroes and to get your heroines, right? Because that's what you've done, and you've been part of the mainstream media yourself, correct, in television and stuff like that. So we all kind of understand the behind the scenes and in front of the scene, correct? And there are two different spectrums of life. So
absolutely.
yeah, so having been there, seen that, what do you think, Vibha, is true leadership all about then?
Lead by example.
Yeah.
When through this journey, I think I feel so blessed because I have met the most incredible people who've
Hmm.
taken the movement forward. Everybody in their role as leaders have stepped up, and that to me is a true leader.
Yes.
It's not just about Ethel, you did it. Really, like when I gave an example of Weber Shandwick, or if a corporate has taken the movement forward, or a principal
Mhm.
of a school has taken it forward, um, they are leaders and they are
Yeah.
doing it by example, right?
Yes.
It's not easy to take these decisions. It's not easy to rally support, but people
Mm.
have done it. And that's what makes a leader. For me, it's not just about people who are, making a lot of money and winning the awards. For me,
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
what
Leading
more
the
have you done? So I
lead the
think we come down to you can't you've got to be a stakeholder, you
yeah.
know and
Yes.
that is where you have to be a stakeholder in society, and that
Correct.
is what will make you a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree, because I think I use that a very simple philosophy myself too. I want to know, because when the sun is shining, everything is gung ho and
Yeah,
everybody is with you, right? But
yeah,
when you're in the shithole, I want to know
yeah,
who's standing with me at that time.
yeah,
And I think
absolutely,
that's where all of us have cut our teeth, so to say, right? In understanding
absolutely.
that true leadership is not about designations and which chair you've
Yeah,
sat
yeah,
on, correct? Who you have hobnobbed with. It's what you stand for yourself at the end of the day. That is it. Do you stand up for yourself, correct? Even if it
absolutely.
whether even if it means standing up for yourself by yourself, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So do you think because the global dynamics are also changing now. We have Kamala Harris, for example, as VP of such a big, huge, the free world, leader of United States, correct? Do you think that there are enough women using their voice to create social, economic, and political change?
There could be many more. And we're all striving for that, where we do see, we see that more equitable world. This is what, the paths that, each one of us is paving is for that world. So there's a lot more that can happen, but again, it's a struggle, that we will just have to continue with it. And I say that, we've got to make men a part of it, so that it
Mm,
doesn't become a man versus woman thing, but
right.
that is how the world should look.
Yeah.
It will benefit everybody. We're not just saying do it because it's the good thing to do. Even
Yes.
economically, you cannot leave 50% of the population behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the win-win for everyone, and we've all got to be on that page.
Correct. Yeah, I agree completely because I think this entire, the men and the women, correct, and you keep using that as a yardstick to say I'm better than you or you are, uh, you
Yeah,
know, you
exactly.
know what I'm saying, right? I think
Yeah,
some of us are quite tired of that narrative now, because
yeah,
it can't be an old horse that you can keep flogging. I
yeah,
keep telling most of my male friends, my men friends, step up, correct?
yeah,
Because we want partners who are equals.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not lesser than you or that you are more than me, correct?
Yes,
And this is whether it's at home, whether it's in our workspaces, whether it's in our social spaces. We want great men to partner women who can become greater, correct? With support,
absolutely.
right?
I
Yeah.
say this to my husband. I say, Vishal, you are a he for she hero.
Yes. And
And
he is. And he is
he
because I've
is.
seen him. I've seen him. I've
He's
seen him in
amazing.
action. He's an amazing
Yes,
man. Yeah.
absolutely. And I feel really fortunate that our two sons have such an amazing role model to follow, because these conversations, you start learning everything from home.
From
And
home.
even with Sunrise, our we are so focused on entering schools, because
Mm.
these conversations, it's very important to have these conversations with boys at 15,
Yes.
and not necessarily men at 50.
Right.
So let's start these conversations much earlier. When you look at that farmer who married the gang rape survivor in an arranged marriage, and then
Right.
when you interviewed the mother, you realize where he's coming from.
Yes. Absolutely. I
you
agree.
know
I agree.
she
I
Ethel,
agree.
you remember when she says in the film, when there are death threats on him, and when
Yes.
I met her, she said, I have raised my son with so much love and care, but I know in this fight I may lose him, he might
Mm.
get killed, but I
Mm.
know that even if that were to happen, he would have died an honorable death.
Noble
I
death.
mean,
Yes.
we were
Wow.
stunned.
Yeah.
And then we said,
Wow.
we know now where this son has come from.
Yes.
It is the environment at home which is very, very critical.
Correct. Yeah, I know. I watched it too, and Vibha, in case our readers on Facebook and on social media want to also watch it, where should they go to watch the film?
So we've opened it up temporarily on a OTT platform called Movie Saints.
Okay.
Um, that's moviesaints.com. Saints
Okay.
is SAINTS. So we've opened it for a limited time, but right now we are only doing curated screenings.
Hmm.
But once we have our global premiere, we're going to open the film to everybody.
Wow. And do we know when the global premiere is happening?
Yes, well, because of the COVID, the
Yes.
timeline have changed, but we are hoping. Um, well, I think we're just hoping that it happens soon. But we've taken advantage of the COVID
Correct.
situation, and we have been streaming nonstop across the world. But again, very focused screenings,
Mhm.
followed by dialogue.
So when you're not making films and documentaries and putting your head into the lion's mouth and also dragging your good husband along with it, what does
Yeah.
Vibha Bakshi do? What do you do?
Uh, oh my God, Vibha Bakshi is hyperactive. Vibha Bakshi's mind always works overtime. But I think making films is just one part of it. For me to see the impact on the ground
Mhm.
is actually the most critical component for why I do what I do. So I think most of my time, if I'm not spending time with the family and friends, is actually seeing how we can use film as a powerful medium to unleash change. And I think now it's become like breathing. It doesn't differentiate between my recreation time. It's
Yes,
almost, it comes very naturally to me. And, you get to meet incredibly good people. So
I
that's a
know.
huge bonus.
Yes, yeah, and I think you keep finding these gems in such hidden places, right? Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
our work has, just just to me too, has made me meet such fabulous human beings in the most unexpected places. So
Absolutely.
you would not even expect it, and just there with all the compassion and humanity in their hearts, who would kind of step out, and go the extra mile for you, just because they
Absolutely.
are who they are, without any kind of
It's a continuous learning journey. It's a
yes,
open university,
yeah,
and it's very, very exciting. Very
yeah.
exciting.
Correct. I'm also going to use this platform, and I'm sure you also know, to one of our colleagues, Priya Ramani, who won the Good Fight in
Yes,
India. I mean,
absolutely.
hats off. I was watching it, and then when the news broke that she had won it, I mean, for all women, actually, right, to kind of stand up there
Absolutely.
and take that stand against such a powerful, media, personality, and to come out shining, and
Absolutely.
for the law, for the law to step up and say, hey, you could be a powerful man, but you could still be a predator. I thought it was like,
Absolutely.
wow. I was
And
like,
this is
wow.
what it comes down to, to have that unwavering, the conviction, the commitment, the courage. And look what she has unfolded,
Yes,
giving so much strength to others, right? So
correct.
she has
Yeah,
really paved the way. Is it easy? Absolutely
no,
not, right?
not,
But
yes, absolutely
she
not.
did it.
Yeah, Priya did it. Yeah, because I think the pressures and the stresses that that I've kind of off and on connected with her have been tremendous, and
Absolutely.
I think sometimes most women step back from the fight because of that. Correct?
Yeah.
Because most times they feel that this is too powerful or this is too much for me to take on, and back off from that. What do you have to say to women who do things that way, who are so afraid of self asserting themselves with that?
I think the fear is genuine.
Mm.
It's not easy. Families are not necessarily with you. I mean, I'll just give you an example of Kusum, who's in our film. Um, you
Yes.
know, the you know what a survivor. For
Mm.
1.5 years, she is gang raped, and then she has the courage to unveil her face in the film and
Yes.
say, shame is not mine, it
Yes.
belongs to those who have committed this heinous crime. I mean,
Yes.
that is a game changer, to put the shame where it belongs. It's
Yes.
not easy, but when you have more of these voices coming out and becoming stronger and louder, it will give strength to others. But I completely understand the fear and the hesitation that which
Mm.
they're operating with, because it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah. We see that. We completely see that. And we know so too, Uh,
Exactly,
we know
exactly.
so too. Yeah, correct. So, have you, being in lockdown, as you were sharing with me earlier, have you been working on any new ideas, Vibha?
Working on a lot of, I think people said lockdown is the time when you can be doing a lot of thinking, but that really didn't happen.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought, this lockdown will really do it, but it didn't. But I think when the time is right, um, the story will find me.
Mm.
I truly believe that story will come to me, and it will be a matter of 24 hours when the decision will happen. So I'm waiting for that story to find me. It will.
It will. Yeah, it will. Yeah, because I think it's just how we zone into,
Yes,
into the
yes,
vibration, right? And then things
exactly,
just happen around it.
exactly.
Having done so much, Vibha, do you see a book happening? Do you see like a biography happening or something of that sort, where you can actually pen down your behind the scenes while doing all these path breaking, ground shaking documentaries that you're doing?
Uh, First of all, the whole path breaking, ground breaking
Shaking.
films are okay. Ground shaking films are a result of an incredibly committed film team. I'm very blessed that the credits for both my films out of India did not change. Not one person changed. We just
Ah,
lifted the
okay.
credits from one film and put it exactly in that same order for the next film. So when you have, and I mean, it's not just their craft,
Mhm.
but it's their, craft and their passion and their commitment that has resulted in these kind of films. So I
Right.
would say I'm a part of it. The credit goes to a lot more people, along with a very, very strong family support. So that's what's done it. But I've not thought at all about a book. But now that you bring it up, I'm joking. No, I still have a long way to go in this journey before that book comes out.
Okay, okay. So we have to keep ticking the clock then and figure out when.
A
Okay,
lot more has to be done.
a lot more to be done. Yes, I agree. There's lots more to do before we kind of pack up our boots. I always say that. I said, no, no, we've just started. We've just started doing what we're doing. Correct? Yeah.
And I'm
So,
learning. I'm learning every day,
yeah.
learning and struggling every day.
Yeah, because a colleague of mine joked saying, "Oh my God, Ethel, you've been doing this for the past 30 years." I would have said, "Okay, Aram say, let me retire." I said, "Oh, no." I said, "We've just started. What is retire?"
Yes,
I said, "That's a very alien, word to me. I don't think it applies to you either. Correct? We either go
exactly.
fighting into the sunrise, correct, or just drop, or just drop down. That's it."
Absolutely, absolutely.
That, I mean, I think that is the path forward. Great. So this has been so good. I'm so glad that we caught up finally after a very very
Yes,
long time. I think we last met was only after the premiere of Sunrise that happened at the Film
yes,
Festival of India, correct? And then after
yes.
that, I got busy. You were traveling all over the place, and then and then Malaysia just happened to me out of the blue. Yeah, it's a different story of my life. Like a different, uh, a different storybook that
Absolutely.
kind of just gotten opened up, and I'm writing it that way.
Fabulous. Really
Yeah,
fabulous.
right. So Vibha, this is quite an off the cuff, question as we kind of wrap up this entire, session with you. At any point of time when you were shooting both these documentaries, Daughters of Mother India and Sunrise, because they were so risk driven, correct?
Yeah.
And I believe any time anything could have gone wrong, right? We all know,
Yeah.
the dangers that you had put yourself into. Was there any moment that you kind of really felt frightened?
Ethel, as a team, when we look back, um, we just realize, I mean, even when we were editing, how many things could have gone wrong. Not
Hmm.
just one or two, but how many things could have spiraled out of control.
Right,
And, in hindsight, we would have said, what were we thinking? Why did we even put ourselves in that situation?
right,
I was with a team of 6 men. So there, it's me and 6 men, roaming in, the seat of patriarchy.
right.
Even just optically, it looks very wrong. So there were so many, I could have just been a moving target. um,
Yes,
then on top of it, we were, following the alleged 8 rapists who
yes.
had,
I could sense that.
raped
I think,
five.
all of us as
Exactly.
viewers could sense that. Yeah, I could sense that.
Uh, and I do, we did go to the police for protection. And,
Hmm.
at that time, the cop looked and said, if things have to go wrong, there can just be a truck that, you'll have an accident with.
Hmm.
If things have to go very wrong, that's what will happen. And
Right.
so, we're very grateful that nothing happened to the team. And as the film started, getting more and more, people started rallying for the film. United
Hmm.
Nations came in with the partnership. The President's Award came in. What
Correct.
gives us a great feeling is that the rape survivor is now the
Yes.
most protected.
Yes.
The threats that were being unleashed on her have stopped. They know that now we are in a far more powerful position, and if
Hmm.
anything was to happen to her, you know they would be the first ones to be
Yes.
caught. So for
Yes.
that, now I enter with full confidence, but that was not the case when we were filming.
Yes. Yeah. I think we could sense that. That's why I, wanted to kind of also
Yeah,
understand that from your
yeah,
point of view
yeah,
as a woman filmmaker, right? Yeah.
yeah,
I think we kind of just throw ourselves, into the lion's den and then say,
yeah,
okay, are
absolutely.
you going to eat me up, or do we become friends?
Yeah, and we were not thinking. I think at that point when we were filming, we were so into it that
Hmm.
honestly, I have to say we were not thinking.
Yeah.
It was so much about the story and getting it out that
Yeah.
these thoughts didn't come. But now, when you rewind, you look at the footage and say, "What? You
Yes.
clearly were thinking." But
Correct.
thankfully, this is the journey we've chosen, and we know there's a God out there who's watching us.
Right. And I'm saying that to all my women friends as well. You have to, summon your inner goddess in matters of,
Yes,
your own safety, in matters of your own voice, and truly,
yes,
as I said, not just speak for the sake of speaking, but in action. Because unless you do that for yourself, you kind of really don't live a very full, rich life, if you know what I'm saying, correct?
yeah,
Because all of
yeah,
us are looking to kind of, to make that difference in actually in action, more in action than in words, because people remember actions, and with that kind of, a very humble and heartfelt kind of, sharing that we have done. I also I'm reaching out to all my male friends and fans and people all on Facebook and in my circles as well, that we are truly looking at you as equal partners.
yes,
So our success is your success. When you celebrate us, we celebrate you in
yes,
that sense, right? And there,
absolutely.
yeah, and therefore, we become such great companions in social change, in our own homes, in our communities, and in the world at large. So let's kind of really kind of, inspire, each other, not with, him against me or she against, he, that kind of situation. And
We are looking
become,
for an allyship.
yes,
This is what we are, and this is what United Nations Global He for She,
yes,
movement stands for.
yeah.
We are
So
in this together to create a bold and united force for equality.
for equality, yes. And on that note, Vibha, I think this was completely delightful to catch up with you over a heart to heart, like a truly heart to heart. And I
Yes.
think that's the purpose. You kind of really connect with people who've done such great work. From a very heart to heart space, so that
Thank
your
you
work
so much,
inspires.
and really
inspires.
back to you.
Yeah, and back to you too. And don't disappear. Keep in touch.
Yes.
Keep me informed with all that's happening. With whatever that you're doing. If the book also kind of book idea hits you at suddenly one point of of your sleeping time, just wake up and say, I think I have a book idea. Because we all operate that way. Just wake up at 3 a.m. and say, oh my God, I have an idea. That way. So
So,
thank you so much for making the time,
thank
Vibha.
you.
Really, thank
Thank
you.
you so much. And
Uh,
enjoy your time in Malaysia. And to all our viewers in Malaysia, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being there. Keep the faith. Be strong. We are all there with you. I will not say behind you, with you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
To all my Facebook friends who have tuned in and who will also watch the video, thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for the love that you share with me, to your messages, to your communication, to your emails, the way you connect. I'm truly grateful because, as I said, I have found a beautiful, second home in Malaysia, and I'm here to help and support in my capacity, whichever way that I can, because I know that you do that for me as well. So thank you for making the time and coming live with me and Vibha today, Dr. Vibha Bakshi. Uh, Find her on Facebook. She's very popular on Facebook. Google her. She's all over the place on Google as well. And support in co-working together as a team. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.